Greetings, comrades. I've got two objectives in this clip. First of all, to highlight the power of Excel in presenting data in the results section of your student-directed RI, and also to show you how to use Excel to calculate key descriptive stats that feature in the VCE Psych course. And secondly, to coach you on how to evaluate those statistics. More about that later. So let's just set this up. We've got a student-directed research investigation. Our aim is to highlight the power of mindfulness meditation in generating a relaxation response, reducing stress. How do we do this? Well, we use a within subjects design. We've recruited 10 participants. We've got their voluntary participation. They've signed off on their consent forms, so we have informed consent. We measure their heart rate, let's say 3 times, to generate precision in a controlled condition in a seated position via them taking their pulse. And then we coach them on how to use mindfulness meditation. We do this on multiple sessions, and we follow the same processes in measuring their heart rate so that we've got controlled variables. Same number of trials, 3, same position, seating, same temperature in the room, etc. Same technique to measure heart rate. Okay, we've tabulated our stats. First thing we want to do is let's measure the median. So what we're going to do is type in equals in cell C16. So on the top menu bar, we've got our letters. These are our columns. And then we've got our rows, which are our numbers. So we go down to our median cell, which is C16. We type in equals whenever we want Excel to calculate anything. We type in the word median, open bracket, no spaces, drag over those 10 numbers, and then close bracket, enter. If you want to copy that, you can simply go Control-C, that formula, so C16, and we're just going to tab over to D16 and paste, Control-V. So again, if I click in that D16 cell, D16, I can have a look up the menu bar for my formula, the median from D6, this is D, row 6, down to D15. Okay, let's evaluate. Now, the good thing about the median is it highlights our midpoint, the difference in the midpoint for our two data sets. So this clearly shows that our controlled condition heart rate is slightly higher. People are slightly more highly aroused in their baseline condition, whereas after we've trained them how to use mindfulness meditation, they're slightly more relaxed. There's a lower level of arousal. We'd expect this. The limitation with the median, though, is it's only giving us one value. It's not incorporating all the scores. So its value is it provides a quick snapshot that mindfulness meditation has been effective to a degree in lowering heart rate. Its limitation, it's not calculating all the values. And here's where the mean comes into play. So let's calculate the mean. So I'm going to go down to row 17, column C, type in equals, type in the word average, open bracket, same process as we did before, drag over those 10 numbers, close bracket, hit enter. I'm going to copy that, Control-C, Control-V over to row D. All right, now let's evaluate these scores. So first of all, if we look at the difference between the median and the mean for our control condition, it's higher. It's 3.3 higher. What does that tell us? Well, that tells us that we've got an outlier. We've got some outliers that have dragged up the mean. Because if our data set was symmetrical or normally distributed, then our median and mean would be the same or thereabouts. The mean being higher than the mean indicates that we've got some high outliers. And clearly, if we go down to participant number 9, who's got a resting heart rate of 105, what we would say in the logbook section of our discussion is that we had a participant whose high heart rate has actually inflated the mean. If we go over to our mindfulness meditation in the blue column, our mean's a bit lower. So we've got the opposite. Our mean is lower than our median. So if we look at participant number 4, and this is what a good discussion would have in the logbook section, it would actually highlight individual participants, not by name because we protect their confidentiality, but we'd say this value of 44 for participant number 4 is actually dragged down the mean. So we've got a couple of outliers that have impacted the mean. The value of the mean, again, in terms of your evaluation, is it's incorporated all 10 scores for both the pre and post mindfulness sessions. The limitation, as we can clearly see here, is it's impacted by skewed data, particularly when we have small data sets, and a sample size of 10 is particularly small. That doesn't mean that the mean's useless, but we just point out the limitations that it is impacted by outliers. Now, the key skill in the study design in terms of your research methods is to work with percentages to show proportional differences. And that's what we're going to do here on row 18. We want to show what percentage has our heart rate been reduced by the implementation of mindfulness meditation. This is going to give us more context than simply saying our mean is 8 beats per minute lower, roughly, after we've, on average, after we've used our mindfulness meditation. So type in equals, open bracket, click the big number, the big mean, 75.8, our baseline. Hit minus on your keyboard and then click your lower number, the mean for our meditation condition, close brackets. Then we're going to divide this to work out our proportion, and we're going to divide this by our baseline heart rate. So if we look at our formula, we've got C17, column C, so that's the mean of our baseline control condition. We've subtracted D17, the mean for our meditation condition, and then we've divided it by our original heart rate for the baseline. Hit enter, and we've got an ugly decimal number, so we're going to convert that to a percentage. Up in our menu bar, click the percentage icon, and let's just make it 1 decimal place, so 10.8. So in your analysis of your results, what you would say to show some higher order thinking is that the implementation of mindfulness meditation has reduced the average heart rate of our 10 participants by 10.8%. And then you would go a step further and say this is a moderately significant reduction. If it was, say, 1%, you'd say minor to negligible. If it was 20%, you'd say that's highly significant. That's a grey area, but again, you want to be, and you're going to get a bit of leeway there because there's a bit of opinion on how we actually interpret that result. We're just going to finish off by measuring the spread. Now, the measure of spread is a useful complement to the mean. So the way we're going to do this in row 19 is we're going to type in equals. We're going to type in the abbreviation that Excel requires, st.dev, P, open bracket, drag over your numbers, close bracket, enter, copy that so that we've got our mean for both conditions. Let's interpret. What this shows us now, a lower order response would simply say we've got a high standard deviation for the control condition. That's obvious. That's not getting your marks. What you need to emphasize is your understanding of standard deviation. So therefore, we've got a higher spread of scores for the control conditions. So 1 standard deviation, if we go under 75, that takes us down to about 62.6. And if we go above the standard deviation above, that takes us to 91 bang on. So therefore, 1 standard deviation from the mean, that's about 2/3. 2/3 of our scores are somewhere between 65.6 and 89, I should say. In terms of the standard deviation for our post-mindfulness, well, the scores are more tightly clustered. They're a bit more consistent. We wouldn't say they're highly consistent. We just say that comparatively, we've got more variability, a higher spread of scores for our baseline condition, more tightly clustered scores for our experimental condition.